Welcome into episode 1 of the Unhidden Gems podcast. My name is Tyler Rohlfs, and today I'm talking with NFL draft prospect Juwan Johnson on his process leading up to the draft. How are you doing today?
Good, man. Just like you said, just trying to be, I guess, safe in the whole quarantine thing and corona thing, but ultimately just trying to stay safe and be as active as possible as much as I can. So
Yeah, I gotta. Obviously, for you to stay in peak performance and shape to get out there,
honestly, we're doing a lot of makeshift stuff right now.
Exactly, yeah, just in the garage, whatever you can find.
Literally.
So I'm just gonna start it off and talk about the upcoming draft in April. This 2020 NFL draft is filled with a bunch of talented receivers across the board. I think this is one of the
Sure.
best draft classes in terms of receivers, in terms of depth that there has been in a long time.
Yeah.
So just kind of walk me through the process of what the combine, pro days, and just interviews with teams are like, and what you try to do with other prospects to get a leg up on one another.
Yeah. So it's definitely been interesting knowing that we have probably one of the deepest classes in a very long time from what I've heard. You got guys like Drew, you got guys like Lamb, you have guys like Ayuk, and just a whole bunch of other guys that you can just throw in the mix, and it'll be really good for team. So it's not like you can double one guy on one team because there's so many other components to a team that people have just from this class alone. And so just going from the combine and being at the combine with all those guys, getting to know those guys outside of that moment is something that was very great for a lot of us to get to know each other. And also the pro day was just as cool too. Just knowing with her beginning, getting in that sort of flow. So obviously it's been real interesting. Just to go through the whole process. It's been fun. I've been taking it by ear pretty much every day, especially with all the new events that's going on nowadays. We have to stay inside, and you're doing meetings on FaceTime, and you're doing it on Zoom and other platforms I just never heard of. But it's definitely been interesting though. It's definitely been soothing. I've been level-headed this whole time just because of how stressful it could be. But I've been taking it, day by day and just playing it by ear, and that's all you can do. At the
Exactly,
end
yeah.
of the day, you don't want to be too, because there's so much things that could happen, but you're in a position that you're in. So that's all I'm trying to be, is just stay focused and stay blessed on what I have ahead of me.
Yeah, and you talk about the new kind of technology platforms that players and teams are having to use to connect with one another. So, how much do you think that this whole coronavirus pandemic and kind of staying at home has changed the process of anything that's going to lead up to the draft? And how drastic is that?
Yeah, man, it's definitely been different. Definitely having phone calls and FaceTime calls with teams has definitely been uh interesting, because you kind of think of coaches, and you want to meet them in person, not really on FaceTime or anything like that. But
Yeah,
just, I guess, formal meetings is something that's different to me, but an adjustment, and just definitely going over plays and formations, things like that. It's kind of weird, but at the end of the day, you just gotta take it with a grain of salt. I think for the most part, you just gotta adjust to what's happening, and it's definitely hard to work out as much as you can because things are closing down. So try parks, try facilities, and everything's just closing. So for the most part, you just gotta get how you live. For real. Sometimes you have to do some push-ups right in the morning, or stretch a little bit. But I guess you got to do what you have to do and just stay focused and eat right and hydrate. That's pretty much control you can control is what I go by. So
yeah,
I just have to do what I'm told and just continue on with that.
awesome. And everyone's path to the NFL is very different from where you grew up to where you played your college ball. So, can you just kind of walk me through your journey and your path to where you are today and kind of the roadblocks that you've had to overcome?
Yeah, so definitely started small town in Glassboro, New Jersey, small town. Literally the lowest level of Jersey. I don't know how I even made my way to Penn State, but I ended up getting a lot of scholarships from the high school I was at. I guess a lot of people seen a lot of potential in me when I didn't even see it. And then I ended up going to Penn State, committed to Penn State my junior year, and kind of took it all the way until I actually arrived there. Got redshirted, so definitely a knock in the head for me. I was just like, man, like I really wanted to play.
Hmm.
Took that year off, just redshirted development year, and then sort of from there, I just kind of started making a name for myself on special teams. And then later that next year was at wide receiver, actually playing a position that I love to play. And then started 2 years at Penn State, and then decided to take a risk. A lot of the time I'm a big reader, so this book I read, it said calculated risk. You have to sacrifice something good for something great, and that's exactly what I had. I mean, having a leap of faith isn't exactly eliminating risk, but it's definitely something that you have to take. I mean, when you want to, do something great. And so that's exactly what I did. I took a leap of faith. I'm a graduated from Penn State, which is another ideal thing for me to do in terms of me, taking another step in my life. So I went to Oregon. Could have went to a lot of other places, but Oregon was a place where I figured that I could have done something big and something great. And so I went there. Definitely had another trial there. Getting hurt the first 4 games is definitely something that hurt me a little bit. But ultimately, it's not how you start; it's definitely how you finish, which is kind of a cliche saying. But definitely did it. It worked out for the best. Won Pac-12s and also won Rose Bowl champs. So that's something that's big for me. So this whole thing has just been kind of crazy, but it was definitely worthwhile.
That's awesome, man. And so you
Uh,
talk about transferring from Penn State to Oregon your senior year.
mm,
What's the biggest difference between playing in the Big Ten versus the Pac-12? Is there anything that kind of changes about the game or anything like that?
yeah, I mean, there's obviously a different feel when you go from the Big Ten to the Pac-12. I mean, I wouldn't account speed for that, but definitely the style of play is definitely different. I mean, when you come from the Big Ten, it's definitely the big dogs. Strength, power. That's kind of what their mo is, and so definitely transitioning from that to a place where everybody throws the ball. You probably see a lot of 3 down linemen instead of 4 down linemen in the Big Ten. Um, but it's so different because everybody moves a little. I mean, the defensive linemen in the Pac-12 a little bit smaller than the guys in the Big Ten. It's just very different, and so you have to pick up on different schemes, the way you run things. So even I had to be a little lighter, a little bigger some games, just based off of who we were playing. So it was just different for me. Some people say, "Are you good at 225 or 230?" I was like, it just depends on whatever the game was. If I had to be more of if I had to be more of a deep threat, or if I just had to block that game, it just depended. So um, my weight fluctuated a lot when I was at Oregon, just based off the team. But at Penn State, I mean, you just had to play ball. Everybody was like a big guy. So just definitely being somebody that just certain sort of games or whatever, just had to adapt to it.
Yeah, and what's kind of one of the most toughest places you've had to play in on the road, either in the Pac-12 or in the Big Ten?
Yeah, yeah. So definitely. uh, Ohio State was definitely one of the places that was really loud. Iowa was extremely loud. Those are the 2 teams from the Big Ten that were pretty insane. But not too many teams to the Pac-12 were loud. But I'm not gonna lie, Washington was pretty loud. That was one that really surprised me. That I had no idea that Washington could get that loud. They had some pretty hectic fans there. So those are the 3 away schools that were like really loud.
Yeah. And what's it kind of like playing with a guy like Justin Herbert? You mentioned him earlier. What's it like kind of catching his passes? Is he one of the greatest quarterbacks you've caught for? Or?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I played for some really good quarterbacks. I've had the ability to play with Christian Hackenberg. I didn't play with him, but I mean, I got the ability to watch his leadership and how he was as a person and how he was as a player. He was a great in my eyes, just of how talented he was. And then I had the ability to play with Trace McSorley, who's at the Ravens now, and just kind of the career he had in college was something remarkable that many people can only imagine to have. And then to play with Justin is something completely incredible too. And so just playing with Justin is really different because obviously people talk about his leadership skills, but I mean there's certain elements that leadership has, and the first I think the first big one is taking the people that's behind you and making them significant as well. I mean, I think no one's left behind. I think that's what a leader does. And so many people talk about speaking loud and being rowdy, but I mean that's just not how some personalities are. But I just think I think if everyone's together and everyone's on the same goal, and that leaders bring you to that goal, I mean, I think that's what matters most. But that's exactly what he brings. He's obviously talented. That's something that I don't have to speak too much on. But I mean, he's just even a better guy. I think that's what people miss out on.
Wow, that's good stuff. And coming up to the NFL draft, everyone has their word on who they think's going what, going where. Do you ever look at those projections or take a look at anyone's big boards or mock drafts?
Uh, uh nah, I wouldn't say really. Obviously I looked or peeped a couple times, but ultimately it always comes down to draft day because like some people could be projected second and literally go fifth round. So you never can trust what the big board says because the team if you fit in the team system or whatever, because they can change their mind literally that day. So you just never know. I really don't get too honed in or really focus on the big board too much or what people's projections are because they literally change daily and they literally can change on draft day. So you just never know.
That's so true. And I mean, we've seen cases like guys like Tom Brady, 199th overall, guys like Antonio Brown, who
Yep.
until a year ago is one of the most dominant receivers in the league, picked
Right.
195th overall. So, yeah,
Right.
it's hard. You can't really look at them. Obviously, the top guys will have their spot, but just kind of more football questions. Can throw at you three more to wrap this up. Who are your favorite players to watch growing up and versus nowadays?
That's a good one. Favorite player growing up, I was more of a running back, so I really didn't um, watch too many receivers. But growing up, my team growing up was the Titans, so I love watching Eddie George.
Oh yeah,
I obviously in the Super Bowl. I mean, they lost to the Rams, but just watching guys like Eddie George, who was a big back, who was running through tackles. That was a running back back in the day, so that's what I looked at. Looked at guys like Chris Johnson. So um, those are the players that I was looking at, trying to emulate when I was younger, and as I got older, and obviously a lot taller, they started moving my way back to wide receiver, and so just growing up. I kind of liked Randy Moss a lot. I mean, he was awesome. I mean, he pretty much did everything. And now I'm more of a technically sound receiver. Like I love technique, and that's what I kind of hold my details on. So one of my favorite players now is Keenan Allen, and that's somebody that always has a chip on his shoulder, who's always working technique. And not the fastest guy, but he just he gets to the ball.
yeah, Slayer. How can you not like him, right?
Right,
Uh,
right.
who are your top five receivers of all time? Your Rushmore of receivers.
Wow. Well, obviously, two played on the team together, so I'm gonna go Chris Carter, and I'm definitely gonna go Randy Moss. Definitely gonna go T.O. I mean, I have to go T.O. That's the person I gotta go with. Um, Definitely gonna go with. I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, the man's a goat. Antonio Brown, and then secondly, I'm probably gonna have to go. I'm probably gonna have to go Julio Jones. Sure.
Jerry Rice not in the top five of all time.
Yeah, I forgot about Jerry Rice. I thought I said him. Five, Jerry Rice. Yeah.
No, yeah, there's a lot of guys out there deserving of the spot. That's just something
Yeah,
that's been surfacing lately, and just I like to see different people's perspectives on that.
for sure. But yeah, man, those. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's like everyone's. But yeah, I mean, Jerry Rice is definitely up there, and Chris Carter should be on everyone's. Same with Randy Moss and T.O. I mean, those are guys that you got to put on there. So.
And final question before we wrap this up: just what's your most memorable moment on a football field, or one of your favorites?
Ooh. Well, I have to say my first touchdown. I mean, I didn't have many in my career, but I would definitely say my first one. It was definitely memorable. Being at Iowa and definitely just sealing the game off with that game winner is something that you have to write in a book or something like that. So, not too many times where when the game's online, you're behind pretty much the whole game, and you seal it off with a walk-off touchdown in an away game when you're ranked like number 4 and you're about to get upset it and doing something like that is pretty crazy. So just having the guys that we have on our team and I'm the one to catch the ball instead of them and they have trusted me to do that. I mean, that's kind of remarkable. So that's something that I always have in my mind for the rest of my life.
No doubt, that's awesome. Well, I just want to say thank you for taking the time today to sit down and talk a little bit. And come April 23rd to the 25th, I wish you best of luck. Juwan Johnson, a name to remember, everyone. He's going to make a team very happy. and the fan base very happy one day. So Juwan, thanks for joining me today, and have a great rest of the week.
Absolutely, man. You stay safe. Appreciate you having me on here.
Thank you, man. Have a good one.
You too, buddy.